What's going on, Flickin' Fanatics? My name is Chris Anthony Lopez, and it's time for my Flick in 5 favorite movies of 2022. You might have seen the other videos on the channel. Scott, Allison, Jesse, Sean, we're all doing our 5 best/favorite movies of the year, and this video means it's my turn. But before we do any of that, make sure you go ahead. Hit like on the video, subscribe while you're there, hit the bell for notifications every time we go live, or we post videos just like this one. And let me know in the comments section down below, what are your favorite movies or your best movie list of 2022? I'd love to know. Let me know. Do we have any overlap? Are any of my honorable mentions in your top 5? Are any of your honorable mentions in my top 5? Let me know in the comment section down below. Okay. So without further ado, my top 5, my Flickin' 5 favorite movies of 2022. Number 5. This one's hard. Okay, let me preface this by saying I had two drastically different movies fighting for the 5 spot. I was going back and forth, but this one ultimately won out for me. And it's a movie that is making its waves across a bunch of top lists of the year. It's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. A one-of-a-kind flick made by the Daniels. It's Michelle Yeoh's potential, Oscar-winning flick. This movie's getting a ton of attention. Not only is it built off of these incredible visual effects, a stellar cast, and just an incredibly relatable and heartwarming story, but again, like I mentioned, this movie I feel like is one of a kind. When's the last time you saw a movie like this, a multiversal family dramedy that just takes every genre the movie is implementing and flips it on its face? I really had a hard time grasping the first time I saw this movie in the movie theater. I didn't know what to think of it. I'm like, what the hell is going on? But by the end of the second viewing I had of it, I realized, okay, no, this movie is gorgeous. It's incredibly heartwarming, and it pulls at the heartstrings throughout the entire thing, making me feel bad, making me feel good. This is such a great movie, and this is probably the best movie on the list, for the record. But I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Michelle Yeoh, I'm gonna mention another movie later that might have another Best Actress nominee in it, but Michelle Yeoh, Best Actress Oscar, it's hers to lose. I'm gonna say that shit right now. Number 4. I feel like I had my 4 set in November. I knew what my 4 top movies are gonna be. This movie was, I believe, the first new release I saw of 2022, and that's Scream 5. For those who don't know, I am not a horror fan at all. Not a big horror guy. I try to stay away from the genre as much as I can. Scream somehow made its way into my life a long time ago, and it's one of the few horror genres, let me rephrase, one of the few horror franchises that stuck with me. That, Child's Play, Evil Dead, things like that. But Scream is one of a kind. Again, poking fun at the genre while it is the same genre that it's making fun of. This movie is the ultimate meta 2020s horror flick, just picking up on the tropes of today in horror, the aspect of rebooting everything while giving it the same name as the original, a la why this movie just came out as Scream and not Scream 5, or not 5 stylized with the S in Scream. You know, it's this incredible flick that not only is an incredible sequel to the previous installments of this, but it also reintroduces this beloved franchise to a new generation of people who may not have been as familiar with the first 4 films. I love Scream. I think the first one is incredible, and I think the other sequels are underrated or slept on in some way, shape, or form. But this movie gave me the same feeling that the first one did the first time I saw it. And that's how I knew that Scream 5, it's carried with some great performances. Shout out to Jenna Ortega, the internet's girlfriend of 2022 going into 2023. I am in love with Melissa Barrera. I am just awestruck by this entire cast. I cannot wait for Scream 6 when it comes out in 2023, one of my most anticipated flicks of the year for the record. But Scream 5 made its way to number 4 on my list for 2022. Number 3, again, I had my list, my top 4, I should say, set in stone by November. Because in November, that's when I saw Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery in the movie theater. I was lucky enough to see it in the theater. It was only out for a week. I found some time. I went to go see it. To me, it somehow bests or even equates to the first Knives Out film because I feel like everyone loves Knives Out, right? Everyone loves that movie. It's this incredible, murder mystery that's not adapted from anything, just from the mind of Rian Johnson. It's carried by the ensemble performances led by Daniel Craig, right, as Benoit Blanc. But the second one is the same vibe, right? Ensemble comedy of sorts. This movie's very funny. Ensemble cast led by Daniel Craig, but it's very different from the predecessor. It feels like it's not an introduction to Benoit anymore. That Benoit, we're watching the mystery pan out from his eyes, unlike the first film, where it felt like he was just around, and then the third act of the first movie, that's when he started telling us everything and what was going on. In this movie, we're watching it unfold as he is witnessing all this stuff for the first time. And I love that. Shout out to Kate Hudson. Shout out to Dave Bautista, Leslie Odom Jr., Janelle Monáe, who might be Oscar nominee for this movie. She should be, if I'm being frank. I'm in love with the aesthetic of this movie. Island setting with this incredibly fun cast. Kathryn Hahn, Madeline Klein, Jessica Henwick. This whole cast is great in this movie. I am in love with the score. I think the score is one of the most underrated parts of this movie. Everyone talks about the cast and the murder mystery part of everything, which, by the way, the mystery, people are dunking on it for some reason. I had fun with it. I don't think when I watched these movies, and I was still like, oh, finding out everything. Super rad. But the score is so good. So good. So much so I almost bought it on vinyl. But I think this movie equates to the first one, somehow maybe bests it, but they give me two different things. And it's okay. Like, the sequel is not like the first one and still can be as good, if not better. I think Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, and it feels weird calling it a Knives Out mystery. I'm with Rian Johnson. Just call it Glass Onion. Top 3 movies of the year for me. Made its way in November. This movie rocks. And if you have not seen Glass Onion, I highly, highly recommend it. I'll give you my Netflix password so you can go check it out if you haven't already seen it. Number 2, I saw Top Gun, the original, for the first time this past year, because I'm recording this in 2023. I saw it around, I want to say it was March or April of 2022. And the first Top Gun movie, it is the perfect 80s flick. Campy, very sexy, corny in pieces. I get why people loved it. Shit, I loved it. I fell in love with it the second I saw it. Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, Meg Ryan, the incredible cinematography of all the jets and the aerial shots in the movie. It was great. And it was perfect as it stood. Why make more? I feel like Top Gun was one of those movies we didn't need a sequel to, but I'll be damned if I didn't love the second one. Top Gun Maverick is my number 2 favorite movie of 2022. And honestly, there's a nice little gap between that and Glass Onion. Top Gun Maverick was a very visceral movie theater experience for me. Like I said, loved the first one. Felt like we didn't need a second one. Now I feel like we need a third one. This movie is way more set in the drama and building off of the first film, which I think was an excellent choice from a production standpoint. Like, from a filmmaking standpoint, you carry over a lot of the same things from the first movie. You have the, oh, we're all hot and we're playing on the beach. We have the incredible jet shots and the aerial dog fights and everything. Stellar. But we have this very good and somehow underrated performance from Tom Cruise, where he is like ripping your heart out of your chest, especially with his interactions with Miles Teller, especially with his interactions with, I feel like I can say this at this point, Val Kilmer. One of my favorite scenes, if not my favorite scene of the year, was the exchange between Iceman and Maverick, between Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise. I was sweating from my eyes watching this thing. Top Gun Maverick did the impossible. And I mean, Tom Cruise is no stranger to the impossible, but you made this unnecessary sequel that blew everyone's socks off. And whether you were a fan of Top Gun before, this gave you enough to where it's very unlike the original, but it shows homage to all the things that made Top Gun while making it in the 21st century. This movie benefited from the advanced technology, and it benefited from this incredible, and this is no stranger to all my entries so far on my list, ensemble casts. Glenn Powell is going to be a household name, in my opinion, relatively soon. Miles Teller, this was his leading performance that he deserved in his career, and he deserves way more recognition for this. And I hope he does bigger and brighter things because of this movie. But it also reminded us how good of an actor Tom Cruise is, just in case you forgot. And yeah, Tom Cruise's personal life gets in the way sometimes, but Top Gun Maverick rocks. It rules. I love it. 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 And before I get to number one, let me give you some honorable mentions. Just some to pass the time. Jackass Forever, The Fablemans, Chippendale Rescue Rangers, The Woman King. Last two things I wanted to mention before I get to my number one. Two TV specials that wouldn't qualify as feature films, but also weren't TV shows proper. So I feel like this would be appropriate to include them here. Intergalactic and Werewolf by Night. It's time. My number one movie of 2022. It's not a Marvel flick. It's not one of those artsy fartsy Oscar movies. It's a movie that really reinvented. It's The Batman. The Batman absolutely rocks. Dare I say it may be my favorite live action Batman flick ever. I know that's real hyperbolic. It might sound hyperbolic with the Michael Keaton Batmans and the Christian Bale ones, but this one did something different for me, and it really encapsulated some of my favorite aspects of the character of this Batman Bruce Wayne relationship, and how Robert Pattinson really delivered that in this movie. Matt Reeves, the guy that came from Planet of the Apes, the guy that was doing Cloverfield, did a Batman flick and made it super different from the other iterations in live action that we've gotten from Nolan and from Tim Burton, of course. But this movie, it's dirty, it's grimy, it's disgusting, yet it's so full of life, and it's epic and it's grand. The score for Michael Giacchino is some of the best Batman score ever, if not the best Batman score ever. I feel like it's super, again, it feels like the movie. The score and the movie, it's like a whole separate character. It's like Bruce, Selina, the score. It's awesome. Speaking of Selina Kyle, the supporting cast of this movie is great, and we really get to see different aspects of the Batman mythos. I feel like Gotham is its own character. We get to see some of the crime families that are in Gotham and how they relate to other characters in the Batman mythos. The Penguin, Colin Farrell acted his ass off this year and some other stuff, but I'll mention those in a second. But the Penguin, it's a different take on the character and a welcomed take at that. Same thing for Selina Kyle. Similar traits as other Selina Kyles in the past, but I feel like Zoe Kravitz did something a little bit different. Plus, let's be real, she looks a little bit different than the other Catwomen that we've gotten in the past. So I'm very appreciative of that. But Robert Pattinson, everyone was clowning him. Oh, it's the Twilight guy. It is the Twilight guy, but he's a good actor. Let's not forget that. And this movie gives us Batman first. It's Batman, and Bruce Wayne is barely in this movie, if at all. Go back and rewatch it. Bruce Wayne is not the guy that we're following in this movie. It's Batman. I don't want to spoil the movie for those who haven't seen it, but the third act has some of my favorite Batman things ever, regardless of the medium. On film, television, video games, comics, anything. The third act probably has my favorite Batman moment in cinema, like in Batman cinema history. And I would elaborate on that, but I don't want to spoil stuff. So just watch the movie and holla at me. My Twitter's in the description. I'll happily tell you what my favorite Batman thing was in this movie. It's great. The Batman stole my heart this year. And amongst everything else in my list, 2022, underrated movie year. This year rocked for movies. It really did. But, after all that, What are your top 5 favorite movies? Top 5 best movies of 2022? Let me know in the comment section down below. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, Chris, where's Babylon? Chris, where's Avatar? Chris, where's the Banshees of Inisherin? I was super bummed that I couldn't find the time to squeeze in Banshees, Babylon, Avatar, Marcel the Shell with shoes on. I was super bummed, and I guarantee some of those probably would have made the list if I got to see them. But I saw what I saw. I love my list. I have no regrets. And check out the other lists. I haven't seen the other lists yet, so I don't know if we have any overlap amongst us here at Flick and Reel. But make sure you subscribe and hit that bell for notifications every time we go live for more videos just like this one. My name is Chris Anthony Lopez. Happy New Year to all you crazy kids. Let's have a great year, not only in movies, but let's just have a kick-ass year. And we hope that you can join us here on Flick and Reel for our kick-ass 2023. Have a good one, y'all. Be good people. Bye.